Well, hey everybody. So, this time around we are reviewing a game that I have had in my collection for quite some time. This is Jets and Guns. Well, Jets and Guns Gold. I don't know if there are other editions of it on Steam. This is the one that I have. I've had this for forever. This is a game that I picked up because Steam, with its recommendation system, was like, hey, you like Skyforce, you'll probably like this game. And I purchased it when it was on sale and then never played it, which is half of my problem. I just have too many games. And so, yeah, I picked up this game and I didn't know how good it was going to be and what type of an experience it was going to be. And my goodness, let me tell you, I have never seen a busier shooter in my life. Now, this is not to say that I haven't seen more of a bullet hell shooter, because I have played some really hellish bullet hells. There are bullet hells where the entire screen is full of bullets. And then, there are other types of shooters which each have their own charms and their own benefits. Thinking about the Skyforce games, thinking about things like Aces of the Luftwaffe Squadron. There's a fun game, an underrated game, good shooter. Anyway, so Jets and Guns is not a vertical shooter, which is what I prefer. And if you're not someone who plays a lot of shooters, you might be thinking, what's the difference? Horizontal, vertical, it's all dodgy, dodge, and then shooty, shoot, which is true. That is generally speaking true, and some of the skills are transferable, but it is a slightly different experience. And if you prefer vertical shooty shoot, then horizontal shooty shoot is not going to be necessarily your strongest suit. At least it's not mine. I will freely admit to the fact that I am much better shooting vertically than I am horizontally. And that has always been the case. You can go back to Super Cobra. We've seen how I've done with Choplifter, Defender, talking some old school games. For those who remember Fort Apocalypse on the Atari 8-bit line, what a game. Anyway, but yeah, much worse at the horizontal shooty shoot than I am at the vertical. I don't like that term shooty shoot. I keep saying it. The pew pew. Anyway, regardless, the fact is that I tend to be a vertical guy, not a horizontal guy. I know it seems ridiculous to even have a preference, but I do. And so going into this, I was like, okay, let's see, because, I would prefer vertical. And what a feast for the eyes this game is. Now, granted, the graphics are not, incredibly amazing, once you get down to the minute level, because here's the fun thing, is that there are a lot of things that you shoot in this game which result in the pilots of craft that you have shot down and transports that you blow up and other things like that, where guys will be parachuting down. And if they make it all the way to the ground, they might start shooting at you. So, all of the different little things in the game have little, granted, it's a problematic term now. We used to call it AI, meaning, the computer deciding how to play with each of its non-player characters. And the number of NPCs on the screen at any given time in this game is absurd, because you have everything from massive ships to like little dudes on the ground firing pea shooters at you, but you do have to watch out. You don't want to take too many hits. You really have to watch your whole strength, and so otherwise you blow up and then you die and then you do the entire level again. And this is one of those games where like all of the cash that you get, because you get cash and then you can spend that on upgrades, which you will see me, you know, sort of pouring over some of these upgrades early on in the game, and then again later when I get some more money. Yeah, the upgrades really do matter. And it's funny because like it gives a description of every gun, of every bomb, of everything that you have, and I don't know how, like, whether it or not it tells you how, like, some guns shoot, because some guns I just don't like the way that they shoot. There's some footage late, you know, deep. I hope we don't make it that far, because I hope I'm not blathering that long. I got a lot more footage than I needed of this game, if that's any indication to you, that I just kept playing and playing. But, yeah. So, the interesting thing about this game is that, like, all of the upgrades matter, but they don't matter in equal amounts. And so you have to be really smart with the money that you get, because if you don't pass the level, if you don't spend your money wisely on the upgrades in between levels, then you are not passing the next level. That's all there is to it. And indeed, many times it takes a couple of tries to get through a level in the first place. And so some of the levels you start to get a pretty good idea for how they work. And, you know, where the secrets are hidden, where the cargo's hidden, how to optimize it, you know. It's one of the things I love about games like this, is finding a path through, you know. And any good shooter will let you explore, and there will be multiple paths forward. And, you know, on different playthroughs, you might take different routes, or you might establish a very, you know, firmly like, okay, I can take this route, I can stay alive, I can minimize my hits if I take this route as opposed to the other ones. And I love that. I love finding my way through in a shooter like this. So the way the levels are designed is excellent. The amount of things going on at any given time, like, because everybody's moving and everybody's shooting, and then, like, you know, there will be a hitchhiker randomly that you can pick up, or a rubber ducky that you can get that you can then sell for money later on, or, you know, if you blow up this transport that flies really fast, then you're going to get its cargo, and then, you know, that if you learn how to open it, then you could get upgrades for your ship, or alternately, you know, you could just sell it for straight up money. And so there's a whole lot of strategy involved in how you spend your money in between levels, because you want to get better every time. You don't have time to not improve between the levels, because every level is a marked ramp up in difficulty. It gets pretty hairy pretty fast. And so I can testify to the fact that, like, if you are not smart in the way that you manage your upgrades, you will not do well. As evidenced by the fact that the game save that I'm working from in this footage is not the game save that I started last night when I first started doing some play of this game so that I could review it. Yeah, it is not the same one. I started a new game save because I was like, okay, well, now I'm pretty good at that first level. having done it a bunch. And now I'm also like much more knowledgeable about what I need to acquire, what I need to put on my ship and enable and use, and what I need to avoid. Because there are some things that you definitely need to avoid. And interestingly, for every gun that you have, you can also improve the gun. You can pay to make improvements on the gun, which will improve fire rate and damage, mostly, though there are other attributes as well. And you can also upgrade the hull of your ship to be more sturdy, and you can upgrade your cooling system, because also you will die of a lot of overheating, because that's what they call it most of the time when they break through your shields and then you start overheating. That's the part. And then they're like, hey, it's getting super hot. Oh, you exploded. Yeah. So that tends to be the way it goes. And so there are upgrades that can help with each of these things. It just is a matter of how you spend your money. Where, like, when do you get that upgrade? Do you buy it right away and perhaps pass on some more powerful guns? Or do you get those guns and then you'll be able to afford the other upgrades? Well, you know, I took that latter path. That's the one that I ended up taking, having taken the former path in previous gameplays, which is not necessarily bad, but like I find it's better for me. But that's the fun thing about it, is that you can make decisions like that, which affect the gameplay and which affect your the replayability of the game and all of the other aspects that you really like to have in a game like this. You know, everything is affected by everything that you choose, and everything that you choose is like fairly blind, actually. Like, you really do have to use a gun before you realize, like, nope, that's the gun, that's the one I like. Because, like I said, I enabled one late in the game that I really hated. I made it through the level with a gun that I was like, ugh, I don't like the way this thing shoots. You know, we all have our preferences, you know. Some people want a quick burst up front, like directly out the front. Some people want more of a spread action. Some people want heat seeking, you know. Yeah, I tend to like the small spread up front, like the, you know, powerful burst up front that's very narrow. And then I'll just figure out where to aim it. That's how I like to play. And so, you know, you do have your choices, because some of these guns are like, they'll auto shoot for you and they will hone in toward the enemy, but sometimes their fire rate is really low and they're not necessarily that precise. You can upgrade them, but like, you know, better to have a gun that you're in control of early on rather than not. And so, yeah, I do like some of those choices that you have to make when choosing an upgrade path for your ship. So, yeah, Jets and Guns is really fun in the fact that it really has you think about how you're going to upgrade your jet and what guns you're going to put on board. Anyway, yeah, I found myself just loving this game so much because, you know, I'm reminded in a lot of ways of Jetpack Joyride. You know, did you ever watch the silly things that the scientists are doing in the background as you're flying around in a jetpack that shoots machine gun bullets? You know, if you look closely, there's a lot of hilarious stuff going on. Same thing with this game, really, for real. You know, a lot of character, a lot of heart, and really exceptionally well done. You know, fantastic boss design, fantastic level design. That first boss where it's like a hamburger style boss where it's 3 different modules that, you know, stack up in different ways and move around and try and come after you. Yeah, that's legitimately tough. I didn't make it the first time that I came up against that guy. It took me a second try, possibly a third. I don't remember. Anyway, people, yeah, what a fun shooter. I was just hoping, like, hey, let it be moderately fun. You know, it's not going to be a Skyforce, but it'll probably still be pretty fun. My goodness, this game is super fun. It is exceptionally violent, and oh, I do love the little interstitials with the comic book art. And also, this game has an excellent soundtrack, which I will not be playing because I can't play it. It's copyrighted. I don't want to get copyright strucken. So yeah, we're just gonna do it without the copyrighted portion. I'll put in some, you know, nondescript YouTube studio style electronic musics to simulate what the soundtrack is like. But just know that the actual soundtrack is way more banging than anything I'd be putting on. Anyway, people, let me put a final score on this, and then we'll be done. Okay, so final score, we are going an 8 out of a possible 10. Gradius, not Raiden. I think I said Raiden before. I get those two confused all the time. One of them is a vertical shooter, the other is a horizontal shooter. Both have had multiple sequels, some of which are really good, some of which not as much. Like, I don't know why I get the two confused. Raiden and Gradius, except for it's probably Raiden. You know, like how we all said Ninja Gaiden, and it's Ninja Gaiden. And we all said Ryu in Street Fighter 2, not Ryu. Nobody said Ryu. Everybody I knew said Ryu for the longest time. And it wasn't until children who watch anime corrected me that I even considered correcting that. Anyway, regardless. Yeah, I get those games confused all the time. I know the difference. Like, I know that they are two very different things. Well, two similar in different ways things. Because, you know, horizontal and vertical shooters. So yeah, clearly I meant Gradius or possibly Gradius. And not Raiden or possibly Raiden. I don't know about these pronunciations. I am not perfect. But yeah. Jetson Guns or Jetson Guns Gold, depending on, I don't know if there are different versions. There might be, or this might just be the only version, and it just so happens to be the gold edition or something. Anyway, regardless, 8 out of a possible 10. Good game. Enjoy it. Have fun with it. Super fun. Super violent. But hilariously so. Anyway, people, that's going to do it for this one. I will see you in the next one. Okay. Bye.